that God protect us today. We'll have a moment of silence. Okay, thanks a lot. Amen. God is watching over us today. We would like to thank you for coming today to the Major County Historical Society. We've been doing this more than a couple of years, so we're going to act like we're organized here. First, we're going to have Phil Johnson give us a starting demonstration with his 820. Phil and Marcus are the flag bearers. This is a 1957 820 and it has a starting engine. He's going to start it with gasoline. It's a V4 gasoline engine, and then that warms up the large engine, which is a 2-cylinder diesel. Back in the old days, we didn't have good starters and batteries, so this was the best that they could do. So he's going to try out his small 4-cylinder engine and get it started. Can you hear it? It sounds like an electric car. Now he's using the small engine to engage the big engine. And then he'll turn off the fuel to his small gasoline engine, and then he can drive around all day on his 2-cylinder. This is a tractor that he bought about 3 years ago at the Sturgis auction, and it was just a pile of parts, rusty parts, and he's built it up here in the last year or two. This is Phil Johnson, and then his cousin here is Marcus Johnson. He's got an A, and this is equipment that Marcus and his dad used to farm with. And the same way they bought this mower and this rake, it was a pile of parts, and they put it together, and then they used it on their farm. Okay, Marcus, take us away. Okay, Marcus is driving a style day. If you remember, the A was made up until 1953, and it had a styled hood and grille from 39 to 53. Okay, I always want to remind everyone, we've got the drawing tractor out here in front of us. You can win this tractor today for a $5 donation. And we're going to have the DJ here go over there and touch it with his fingers and see if the paint is dry. But anyway, you can walk over to the registration building or here at the DJ booth, and you can get a ticket to win this tractor today. Okay, first we're going to have our cars. This is Jim and Karen Stokes. They're from Fairview. And this is a 1946 International. It's a K1 is the model. And this truck used to sit in front of the CJ store on Main Street, if you remember. It had a grain box on it, and it was the gate guard right on top of the sidewalk. And after the CJ store closed, then Jim bought it, and he restored it, and he put the cab onto an S10 chassis with a small block Chevrolet V8. Okay, now we're going to get into our first tractor. It's nice that it's a nice bright orange one. This is one of our old friends, Blake Bedwell. He comes to the show every year. He's from O'Keene. And this is an SC case. It's a 1953. Case came out with the SC to complete with the Farmall H, which was a tractor that sold very well, and so J.I. Case realized that they needed to do a better job, so they built this tractor to compete with the Farmall H. This is a 4-cylinder SC model, 1953. Okay, next we've got another case. This guy followed me to town here this morning. I appreciate that, in case I broke down, because my cars always break down. Anyway, this is Bryce Burden, and he's from Gage. That's a long ways out there to Gage.
Yes, it is.
Wow, he's dedicated. This is a 1942 Case SC. So if you notice, it's the same tractor, except this one has the wide front end on it. So this is Bryce Burton from Gage.
Hi, honey.
Okay, now we've got a local tractor. This is Jack Kelly. He's from Fairview. This is a 1953 M&M Model U. You know, we always brag about John Deere, but really the U was the most popular tractor around this area. This tractor belonged to Jack's father, and his name was Hap Kelly. He was one of the original members of our tractor club, and he restored it and showed it for many years. He was from Hennessy, and then Hap, his dad, also had a tractor show that we used to all go to in Hennessy. Okay, it's taken quite a while, you know, to get a John Deere, but here we go. This is kind of exciting. This is Don Jansen. He's from Bessie, Oklahoma. That's a long trip, too. This is a 1953. It's a Model 50, and it has 30 horsepower. And if you notice that strange contraption on the hood, that's electric power steering that he's converted. You remember all of these tractors just had Armstrong steering, and so this was a aftermarket conversion to make it electric start. Okay, next we've got another Bedwell tractor. This is Kelly from Okie. This is a Model 50. It's a 1952. You remember the letter series ended in 52. Like A's and B's, and then we started out with the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So this was the first year. This was the 79th model made of the 50 series. So here's another orange tractor. We don't see these too often. This is a 1940 WF. Most of the Alice Chalmers that we saw were for row crop use, but this one was a wide front end like the kind of tractors that we used to see around here. This is Joe McKee, 1940 Alice Chalmers WF. Okay, you've all heard the story, right? That Alice Chalmers tractors were green to begin with, kind of a dark green, and the sales territory manager was traveling by train in the west, and he saw fields of orange flowers, and he said that those are really bright, and so we should change the color of our tractors to a bright orange, and that's how we came up with this orange color. Okay, this next one is Jeff Evans. That's Evans. He's from Hennessy. This is an AC D19. This is a 1965. This was a smaller tractor that Alice Chalmers built. If you remember, they had the D19s, D21. This one is 70 horsepower. It doesn't look that big, does it? But it's a 1965. And this is Jeff from Hennessy. Okay, here's another example of the smaller tractor. This is the D17. This is a 1966. This is a Series 4. This is 55 horsepower. This is Jeff Evans. He's from Hennessy also. Remember earlier I told you that Hap Kelly used to have our show in Hennessy. And he would organize the show, and so we learned to know all these guys from Hennessy through Mr. Kelly. This is Jeff from Hennessy, and this is a 1966 D17. Well, finally, now I get to talk about a good tractor. This is Mike Martins. He's one of the guys out here that does a lot of work. This is a 1970 4020. This is a tractor that he uses every day on the farm. He's got several of these that he still uses. Mike and Harry used to farm with two of these tractors all day and all night long. This is the later tractor, 1970. If you notice, the hydraulic control is over by the seat. Put your hand over there, Mike, and show it to us. The earlier tractors, before 68, had the hydraulic control under the steering, and it was very awkward for the driver to reach under there and get the hydraulics. So they moved them over to the side from 69 to 72, which was the last year. Then in 73, we went to the famous round cab tractors. Okay, we got another red tractor here. This is Garrett Carpenter. He's from Arapahoe. This is a Farmall Model H. It's a 1941. And this one is owned by Howard, but Garrett is the driver today, his great-grandson. So this tractor's been in the farm family for quite a while. It's a 1941 Farmall H. Okay, we've got another Carpenter. We can tell they're not interested in all the same colors. We've got a red one and we've got a green one. This is Garrett from Arapahoe also. This is a 1949A. It's 36 horsepower. This was bought from a family in Newkirk, and they just brought it home last September. And they've already taken the engine apart and worked on it, and now it's going to live a nice retired life. If you remember, the A tractors were made up until 1953. So this is a 49 model, and if you remember, in 39 they hired the Henry Dreyfuss company to stylize the tractors and make them look better. But he also, Dreyfuss required that the function work also. So his idea was that it had to have form and function if we were going to make a tractor or any other appliance look better. Okay, next we've got Dean Post. He's from Clayton. Okay, this is Dean Post. He's from Clayton. That's a long ways away. This is a 1956 70 LP with adjustable front end. This was bought new by their family. They farmed wheat and hay near Marshall, Oklahoma when they first bought it. The 70s, if you remember, were made up until 56 and 57, and then we went to the 720 series. Around here, we think that propane is pretty common, but in the general collector community, there's very few propane tractors made. But this is a 1956 70. Okay, next we've got Jason Wittenberg. This is a family deal that's going on here. He's from Crescent. This is a 59 730 LP, also adjustable front. You know, mostly in this country around here, we only saw rigid front tractors that were just for farming wheat, and we didn't see very many tractors that had adjustable front ends. This was the last year of the two-cylinder tractor, 59 and 60. And then in 60, they switched over to the super secret 6-cylinder tractor, like a 4010. So the last year or two, the tractor company was trying to trick everyone into thinking that they were still building 2-cylinders, even though they were going to come out with a 6-cylinder in 1960. Okay, this is Paul Donnelly. He's from South Jordan, Utah. Does anybody believe that? He came from South Jordan, Utah. What do you think of that? This is a 1957 John Deere 320. It's an S model, which was a sub-model of the 320. This one is a 1957. If you remember, the 20 series was in 56 and 57, and then in 58 and 9 we switched to the 30 series. And this tractor came from North Carolina is where they bought it. This is a Okay, here's another one. We had a 320. Now this is a 420. The 320 was the smallest tractor that they made at the time. And we hardly saw very many of those. In the 420, we saw quite a bit more of those. This is a tricycle front end. This is a 1957. And this tractor came all the way from Utah also. Now these people are dedicated, right? We should buy them a pizza or something. Okay, this is Paul, and he's from South Jordan, Utah. Okay, here's another one. These people must have came on a semi-truck. This is exciting. Yeah, they're shaking their head. Yeah, Paul. This is Paul Donlin, South Jordan, Utah. That's UTAH. This is a 1957 520. And this is a tractor that they bought in Arkansas. Okay, this is a tractor that everyone is going to recognize here. I'll tell you who it is. It's Jim Strack from Latonga. And the reason that you recognize this tractor is because this belonged to Harry Martins, the founder of our club here. And Jim bought this from Harry a few years back, and he's lovingly cared for it. This tractor was bought new here in Fairview from Ternelson Implement. Wayman Ternelson was our John Deere dealer. And Harry bought it in the spring of 1958. And so Jim is the second owner of the tractor. It has 40 horsepower on the drawbar or about 50 on the belt. This is a 1958 720, belonged to Harry Martins. Okay, this is my old friend Delmer Bish. This is a 1946 Farm All-In. Delmer always stops his farming work and wipes some dust off the tractors, and then he brings them to our show. So these are actually tractors that he uses on the farm. He's probably not quite ready to plant wheat yet. It's a little dry. But we're all feeling that. But anyway, Delmer uses these on his farm whenever he gets ready to plant wheat. This is a 1946 Farm All-In. Okay, we've got two drivers with this tractor. Not sure how that works. This is Bob Jones. He's from Fairmont. And this is a Gibson tractor, if you remember those. It was a garden tractor back in the old days. Anyway, he's got the junior driver there. And he's also got a passenger. There's no seat belts on this thing. Anyway, this is a Model D, a Gibson Model D. And people use these in their gardens, and they had various tools. So this was kind of the replacement for one horse. So this. Okay, next we've got another John Deere. See if he can, he probably drives a little bit faster. This is Robert Rhodes. He's from Enid. And this is a 1938A. And this is a tractor that originally came with steel wheels. You remember we talked about several of the tractors were styled. Well, this is the first unstyled one that we've had through the parade today. So just in the very next year, 39, they switched over to having a smooth grill and smooth hood. So this is a 1938. John Deere at the time called it a general purpose, just so that you could know you could use it in all crops. But it was the Model A made up until 1953. Okay, now we've got a good example. This is the stylized tractor. You notice the difference. You can see the radiator on the older tractor. And this just happens to be a 1939, which was the first year for this stylized treatment. And if you notice, they still had the hand crank, and you didn't have a battery, and they still had the old style seat, just like on the tractor in front of you. just had the one seat where it had the stylized hood in, which started in 1939. This is Larry Gunter. He's from the Liberty Ranch, and his 1939 style B. Okay, this is a trick because I got this guy's card. This is Mitchell and Faye Alexander. They're from Norman. And if you remember, a guy who used to come here many, many years, G.L. Alexander, he was from Watonga. Anyway, and this is Matthew Alexander, and he brought it out to the show because his dad is in ICU and he's trying to recover from COVID. So he's having a kind of a hard time here, but he bought out Grandpa's tractor, and this is a 1937A. Remember, the A was made up until 1953, and from 37, 38, and 39 was the unstyled version. Okay, this is Gavin. Close enough. He's driving a 40, and this is a 1953, I believe, which was the first year of the number series. 53, we had A's and B's, and then at the end of the production year, then we started with the 40s. So they're from Kansas. This is Gavin, and he's brought this tractor to sell today. So if you need a tractor or you need any parts, they're over there in the swap meet behind the schoolhouse. This is Gavin with his 1953 Ford. Okay, this is the registration department right here. Jenny Weedle from Fairview. This is a 620. It's a 1957 model. Jenny's been doing all the work and keeping us organized over there in the registration. And so she decided to lay down on the job and come over here and drive Dad's tractor. Oh, well, we don't know whose it is. But anyway, it's a 1957 620. Hey, we got a pickup that came in here. This is kind of exciting. This is Jay Martell and his family. This is a 1952 3600 Chevrolet. This was a 3/4 ton, like we used to call them back in the old days. Even though they still had small tires, they had really heavy springs. Most farmers bought this type of pickup so that they could haul a load of grain or other heavy things. But this is a 1952 3600 3/4 ton from the Bartell family here in Fairview. Okay, this is an unstyled A. This is Roberts from Wellington, Kansas. This is a 1936 A. If you notice, he has cheated here and added electric start. Well, these just came out with a hand start flywheel, but you could put on an electric start from a later style tractor, so he's done that. And then he also has an aftermarket overdrive. It's called Bellin. There's an overdrive so that you can drive it faster on the road. Hey, in case you couldn't tell, this is our Rumley oil pull tractor. This belongs to Ed Lyons from Enid. That's the guys over there at Fairview take care of it for him. Of course, we know the driver. Everyone recognizes him. Dale Wolf. He keeps the tractor running. Anyway, this is the Rumley oil pull. It's a Model B, and it's a 1912. The Lyons family had bought this when it was new. It came on a rail car. Of course, it was in a bunch of pieces. So we had to go down to the rail yard and put it together and then drive it off of the car. That was in 1912. Last 25 5 horsepower. It's a 104 model engine. Okay, this is a tractor that came today from Byside. Carolyn tried to tell me it was an international. It's a 51, right? We haven't had any G's here today, but the G was the largest row crop tractor that John Deere made at the time. And if you remember, the letter series was made up until 53. And so this is a stylized 51 model from Byside. And we always say that the D was the largest tractor that John Deere made, but the G was the largest row crop tractor. Okay, this is John Deere. It's a case. Maybe it's a case. Okay, this is Carolyn's dad, Ernie Koo, and Levi Martins. He's going to give us a demonstration here and turn around. Oh, and we have Earl Henry, if anybody remembers him. Be like Earl Henry II. All right, he's going to show us how short he can turn here with this International. This is a 1953. It's a TD6. All right, that's great. Thank you, Grandpa. Wow, you don't look old enough for that. Anyway, this is Carolyn's family's tractor. It's an International TD6. Okay, next we've got another red tractor. This is Ron Ainsworth. He's from Wellington, Kansas. Could you smooth out that dirt for us, Ron? Okay, this is a 1943. This is a Farmall 8. He's from Wellington. He's going to do his best attempt here to try to show you how to do it. Oh, that's a great job. Come all the way from Wellington, and then you have to drive through a rut. Okay, this is Jack Kelly again. He came through earlier on his UM that belonged to his dad. Jack's from Fairview. This is a 49D. This tractor was bought by his dad, Hap Kelly, and he restored it and showed it for many years here at the show. You could always recognize it because Hap put those special steps on the back so that he could jump up on there. But his dad was from Tennessee, and then Jack has acquired the tractors from his dad, the M&M and this D, and he's carrying on the family tradition with this 1949 D. This is the first style that we've had here. The D was made up until 1953. Okay, this is a great example. We've got an unstyled tractor here. It's the exact same tractor that Hewlin's driving in the front there, but it's the earlier unstyled version. This is Jerry and Travis Bliss. They're from Enid. This is a 1937D. Travis prints up a book that has various serial numbers and weights in it. If you go down there where they've got their tractors, you can buy one of those technical books from him, and then you'll know everything that I know. You won't have to listen to me next time. Go down there and talk to Travis and ask him about his 1937 D. Okay, here's Blake Bedwell. He's so fast he made it through. He's giving us a little smoking demonstration here. There you go. That's what Henry Dreyfuss said. You know, he wanted you to be able to operate the tractor only from the seat. So this is a 1943. This is a 24 horsepower. It's an H International. This tractor was given to Blake as an FFA project. Dennis Fisher of Omega gave him the tractor to restore his senior year of high school. this in a big old pile for us. This is Eugene Longman. He's from Fairview. And he's a collector of these John Deere lawn and garden tractors. This is a 317. This is more impressive than the International that made the hole. Anyway, Gene used to professionally mow lawns around Fairview with his dad, Bill Longman, and so he got interested in tractors. The 300 series was a hydrostatic tractor, and then the 200 series was the gear-driven tractor. So if you wanted the hydrostat, then you would buy a 317, 316, 318. And John Deere made it real easy back in those years because that number was also the horsepower. So that means this is a 17 horsepower. So they had a 318 that made 18 horsepower, and so on. 212 made 12 horsepower. Well, this is really impressive. Anyway, Gene's got several of these tractors over there in his display, various year models. He has almost every model of the John Deere lawn and garden tractor in his collection.
That's a pretty good size blade for the best they have.
It's beautiful. I'm not trying.
All-wheel drive there, but he doesn't really have anything. No.
Okay, this is Dennis and Debbie Moore. He's going to pack down the dirt after Gene's smoothed it out for us. They're from Oklahoma. They're originally from Fairview. This is a Rumley Model W. You remember earlier we had some really big Rumleys in the parade. This is a 1928 model. It's a model designation of the horsepower was 20 and 30. And this is a Rumley oil pool 1928. And they used oil to cool the engine instead of water. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, this is the Eubanks family right here. Yes, he actually won this tractor 3 years ago. So you could be just as lucky as Mr. Eubanks here and win this M&M today. And then you could bring it back next year and show us how well you've taken care of it. So he's one lucky dog. Anyway, he's a farmer from out west, from the Eubanks family that used to drill water wells around here. Okay, these guys need no introduction. We don't need a card for this. This is 1959. Just guessing. 30, that's good enough. Who cares? Yeah, it's a 1959 or a 1960. These guys are from Kansas, the Kratzer brothers. David. And he brought some other family members along with him. Yeah, this is exciting. No, I don't need to talk to anybody. Anyway, this is the last year that John Deere had the 2-cylinder tractor. And then in 1960, they went to the 6-cylinder tractor. Okay, this is another styled G tractor. 52 or 3. 1. Wow, I'm ashamed that I missed that by 1 year. Anyway, it's a 51. If you notice, he's got the deluxe seat, see, with a padded cushion, and then he's got his battery under the seat. So this is a lot better for the farmer at the end of the day. Okay, here's another guy who's made it through the parade twice. This is kind of impressive. This is Jim Strack. Earlier, if you remember, he brought another tractor through. He's from Watonga. This is a 1949A. The A was made up until 1953, whenever we changed over to the number series. Jim's from Watonga. All right, this is kind of exciting. What are we going to do now? We got a lot going on here today. Go over there. Since you're motivated,